So, you want to be a Jets fan? Or maybe you just want to learn a little bit more about the team? My name is Carson with Footballers Anonymous, and today I'm a Jetsaholic teaching you everything you need to know about the New York Jets. Let's go ahead and roll that intro and get right into it. The Jets never actually started as an NFL team. They started in the NFL's rival league, the American Football League, founded by a group of entrepreneurs featuring familiar names such as Lamar Hunt and, more importantly to this story, Harry Wismer. The founder of, at the time, the New York Titans wasn't really the wealthiest of men, failing both at paying taxes and winning football games. He was so bad at these things, in fact, that he filed for bankruptcy in 1962. Despite marrying for money, the next year, Wismer was forced to sell the team to Sonny Werblin, who renamed them to the team we all know and love as the New York Jets. And this is where we introduce the most important name in all of Jets history. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Joe Namath. Your first lesson in being a Jets fan is that you love Joe Namath. After committing to Alabama since he didn't quote-unquote see any girls on his Notre Dame tour, Namath looked like the perfect prospect. He won a national championship, demonstrated great leadership, an insane arm, and apparently he spent time studying with over 300 women at Alabama. The Jets won the bidding war against the Cardinals and Giants for this academic weapon of a quarterback, which was a big deal since at the time nobody in New York really cared about the Jets. If you were living there, you were almost guaranteed to be a Giants fan. But Jets fans, that is when your glory days started. Words cannot explain how badly Joe Namath was needed for this team. The current starting quarterback, Dick Wood, was terrible. He was awful. More of a New York Jet than Namath ever was. So in 1965, after a dangerous knee surgery that now required him to get his knees drained of fluid at halftime during every game, Joe took to the field. And he was fine, I guess. Short of being the target of the entire AFL defense, he almost died on the field once because he swallowed a chunk of mud. Real story. And after his rookie season, Joe Namath led the league in both passing yards and interceptions. Sounds familiar now, doesn't it? But he steadily improved until the 1968 season. Jets fans, never forget the 1968 season, because this will be the greatest season your team has ever endured. A season where Joe Namath, despite losing to 2 one-win teams, absolutely locked in, bringing the Jets to the AFL Championship against the Raiders, in which despite Namath breaking his finger in 4 different spots, Don Maynard was able to catch the game-winning bomb and touchdown passes to bring them to the Super Bowl. Now at the time, the Super Bowl was played between the AFL and NFL champions, similarly to how it's now between the AFC and NFC champions. They went up against the NFL champion Baltimore Colts, coming in as an 18-point underdog from a subpar league in the AFL. And I think we all know what happens here, right? Well, you're wrong, because the Jets actually won. They ran all over the Colts. They looked like the better team from every standpoint, every single second they were on the field, beating the Colts 16-7. Now from here is where things took a turn. And now that we've covered the golden age, I want to kind of skip around to some more present day stuff and more relevant information to you as you are a brand new Jets fan. But let's quickly go through some of the most important lessons you can learn as a Jets fan from the time after they won the Super Bowl. In the 70s, the downfall was obvious and fast. Namath had a great year in 1973, passing for over 4,000 yards, and then began to decline until he retired in 1977. This triggered the infamous search for the next Joe Namath. Let's skip past years of mediocrity to a time where most of you were probably actually still alive. It's the summer of 2008. The Jets have just recently moved on from quarterback Chad Pennington. And this guy had brought real success to the team, even getting them as close as an AFC championship, but never back to the big dance. And when he hurt his shoulder in 2006, the Jets knew they needed to find somebody else. Enter Brett Favre. Coming off a 4,000-yard season, a 17-year career with the Green Bay Packers, dramatic retirement, and then unretirement, the 3-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, and future Hall of Famer Brett Favre was looking for a breakup with his current team, as they decided to move ahead with some kid named Aaron Rodgers? Remember that name. It comes in handy later. The whole unretirement thing was a complete mess. Favre wanted to go back to the Packers, and they had already moved on after his retirement months prior. But Brett still wanted to play football. There were frequent allegations of him talking to the Vikings, resulting in the Packers filing tampering charges with the league. The whole thing was just a mess. So, where in the world was Brett going to go? Enter the New York Jets. The hype was real. The Jets were rolling that year. They scored 50 points against the Cardinals this season, with Favre throwing 6 touchdowns. And these were the Arizona Cardinals that ended up going to the Super Bowl. That's right, this was a season where both the New York Jets and the Arizona Cardinals were relevant. 2008 was just not real. So what went wrong? It's not like Brett Favre took a picture of his flight stick and sent it to a sideline reporter, because that would just be ridiculous, right? Aside from that scandal, though, towards the end of the season, Brett ended up tearing his bicep and was never really the same player again. He became an interception machine from weeks 13 to 17 of his year with the Jets. He went 1-4, only threw 2 touchdowns and averaged a 55.2 passer rating. Yikes! They went from the favorites to win the AFC to not making the playoffs, as the final nail in the coffin was delivered in a loss to the Miami Dolphins, division rivals led by none other than quarterback Chad Pennington. So eventually, Favre retires again. The Jets move on, and then Favre unretires again and goes to play for the Minnesota Vikings like he always wanted to. And he became awesome. And so starts our next era. New coach Rex Ryan arrives, and Jets fans love him. So starting a short period where the Jets were actually a well-run organization. The Jets traded up to select quarterback Mark Sanchez and have one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, led by Darrelle Revis, one of the greatest lockdown corners in league history. And they make it back to the AFC Championship back-to-back in 2010 and 2011, losing first to Peyton Manning and the Colts, and then to Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets would never come this close again. And this is where we enter the era I like to call the quarterback graveyard.
Well, years ago we talked to Tom Moore, then at Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator. You got a busted play here, and then, and then Sanchez gets hit. The ball is loose, and it's alive.
I have never seen this before in my life. Watch this. Vince Wilfork is going to throw Brandon Moore back into his quarterback. He's going to fumble the football. This is what Reggie White used to do to people. Forklift them and just lift them off the ground. Mark Sanchez not expecting it, and it was the backside of Brandon Moore that knocked the ball out.
They go through countless guys from 2013 to 2018, including Geno Smith, remember him for later, Michael Vick, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg, and Josh McCown, many of whom were kinda solid quarterbacks, but none could seem to make anything work in New York. But in 2018, the Jets found their truth. Sam Darnold, trading up to number 3 overall to grab him. Surely this would be the guy. On his first ever NFL pass, Sam threw a pick 6. But don't let that confuse you. They actually won that game 48-17. Sam Darnold kind of figured out the offense. Crazy, right? Maybe this kid is good. Well, not quite.
For 5 yards, here's Sam Darnold on the mic.
We're gonna keep bringing it. Seeing ghosts.
Seeing ghosts.
That's not good. And you heard what he said? They're going to keep bringing it. I would too.
Well, and they are. Here's Ben.
This is Coach Adam Gase. I know. Real looker, huh? He was supposed to fix Sam Darnold, a ghostbuster, if you will. He did not. He got fired in 2020, and Darnold was traded to Carolina for a few mediocre picks. Surely he never did anything with his career, right? Ew. That's a little bit awkward. Doesn't matter though, because with a 2-win season comes the second overall pick. And with that pick, we get BYU quarterback Zach Wilson. A kid I was super excited about, being a BYU fan growing up. However, yeah, he did not work either. This is just getting ridiculous at this point. We can't keep drafting busts. We gotta try something different. And new head coach Robert Saleh intended on doing so. The year is now 2023. The Jets established themselves as a pretty solid team. Defensive Rookie of the Year Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, and Offensive Rookie of the Year Garrett Wilson are just a few of the young playmakers that were on this roster. But Zach Wilson had proven not to be the answer. So the Jets entered the market, and they found someone who was interested. See, a longtime Packers veteran, 4-time MVP, and Super Bowl champion was trying to get a deal done with the Minnesota Vikings, but couldn't seem to... Wait, no. What is this script? Am I just talking about Brett again? No? Huh. Weird. Welcome, Aaron Rodgers. And let's just say the vibes were high.
He's obviously the best quarterback I've ever had on the team.
Oh my God, sweet, isn't it? Hey, that was sweet.
That was sweet.
Yeah, bro. That boy is cold.
Everyone is chasing the top-tier quarterback because they change games. They change entire locker rooms.
Sometimes the Hall of Fame quarterback just puts in the tightest window.
Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on to your asses here now. Let's go.
He's dipping that thing in there.
I'm probably gonna get copyright struck for playing that, but it's worth it to truly demonstrate what the feeling around this Jets team was. They were receiving more hype than they had in years. So much so that they were scheduled to play the NFL kickoff game at home in MetLife against division rival Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And well, just take a listen to MetLife. This game was incredible. And only 4 snaps into it,
Protection breaks down and time runs out. Down goes Rodgers and the sack for Leonard Floyd. new this year, and after spending 3 years with the Rams, the former first-round pick of the Bears, and now Rodgers sits down. A loss of 10 on the play, and hopefully the Jets are thinking that's the only loss on that play. See what happened at the end of it.
Take a look here at the very end, and hard to see. Of course, he had the calf issue in training camp, but here's a little better look as far as what might have happened for him to go back down to the ground.
And he's coming out of the game. And that means that a few plays into game one, Zach Wilson, the former #2 overall pick from BYU, who's made 22 starts in the NFL.
Aaron Rodgers ended his season. All that hype, gone. And once again, we're stuck with Zach Wilson. Wait, they did what?
Blitz coming from the Bills. Wilson hangs in and finds his man. Lazard, first down Jets, and a good throw from Wilson. Allen looking left is going to launch. Hardy downfield, overthrown, it's picked. Intercepted by Whitehead. Handoff is to Hall. There goes Brees. Running out of gas and brought down inside the 15 by Benford. 3rd down and 10. Just get it away before the play clock expired, and the pass is a fastball for a strike. Wilson gets it to Hall. And Brees is going to spin his way to the 35. Allen gets rid of it down the middle. It is picked again by Whitehead. Longest completion tonight, 22 yards to Lazard. Wilson wide open is Lazard. First down Jets, and he picks his way down inside the 30. Third down, quick setup, quick throw, and the pass is caught for the first down. There he is, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, wow! What a catch! Touchdown, Jets! Allen lost the snap. Ball comes out. And it's recovered by the Jets. The call is fumble. Jets ball. Zerline gets it. They don't take it. Bass hits the upright. It's good. 3rd down and 12. Allen slides. Pass incomplete. Reed in coverage. Digs the target. 4th down. Sam Martin corrals the snap. It's a short punt. Gibson on the return. Near side. I don't see any flags. Gibson inside the 30. Hits the Jets. And he's going to go. Jets win it. Touchdown. Rookie Xavier Gibson. Game over.
The Jets won. And Zach Wilson was looking promising again. Maybe now they can finally... Well, that was anticlimactic, but the next season they have A-Rod back, so maybe... Okay, dude, this is getting ridiculous. Alright, so the rest is pretty mediocre. Raj leaves for the Steelers, and he plays fine. The Jets signed free agent Bear Justin Fields. They suck. And now they've gone back to their old 2nd round draft pick, who just concluded a season with the Raiders that secured them the #1 overall pick with Geno Smith. And you're pretty much all caught up now. So congratulations. You're finally a Jets fan. And if you somehow made it through this entire very brief history lesson on all of their failures, and you still want to be one, there are just a few final lessons that you need to remember. First, never forget Joe Namath. He is the reason you have any right to talk crap about football in New York. He gave this franchise its greatest moment, and if you ever find yourself questioning why you're still a Jets fan, just remember that one magical night in 1969 where the Jets were the biggest team in the world. Second, never trust a quarterback. Chad Pennington gets hurt, Brett Favre gets hurt, Mark Sanchez gets you to 2 AFC Championships games and then disappears. Geno Smith leaves and becomes a Pro Bowler. Sam Darnold leaves, wins a Super Bowl. Zach Wilson is still Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers lasts 4 snaps, and now somehow Geno Smith is back? Third, never trust a promising season. If the Jets are 8-3, you are not allowed to celebrate. If they're 10-1, you should actually be concerned. If they're 7-4 and have the best defense in football, start preparing for the worst. Because the moment you start thinking, wait, the Jets are actually good, is usually the moment the universe starts preparing something terrible for you. Fourth, never turn off a Jets game. You might miss the butt fumble. You might miss Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles 4 plays into his Jets career. You genuinely never know what you're going to see. And finally, perhaps the most important lesson of all, you have to keep believing. Because that's really what being a Jets fan is. It's not rational, it's not based on evidence, it's not even particularly healthy. But every season, you convince yourself that this is the year. Maybe Geno is finally the guy. Maybe the defense is good enough. Maybe Cade Klubnik is different. Maybe, just maybe, the Jets can finally go back to the place they haven't been since Joe Namath was walking around with his study partners. And then, inevitably, something happens. Something completely ridiculous. Something uniquely Jets that you couldn't write even if you tried. And yet, you'll still be back next Sunday. Because that's the curse. That's the tradition. That is what it means to be a New York Jets fan. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this special episode of Footballers Anonymous. If you want more of these, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. As always, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a shout to which team you want us to dive into next, because I learned a whole lot of stuff about the Jets that I didn't know. So if you want a breakdown of your team, make sure to comment it down below, and we'll see what we get. But with that, thank you so much for joining us for this very special episode, Footballer Nation. We can't wait for the season to start again. So, Footballer Nation, let's ride.